We're heading into week number 8. That's just about the midseason. So, handing out some midseason awards. We did this last year. Let's do it again. Before we get into that, of course, we're going to head into our weekly power rankings. So stay tuned. That will be towards the end of the show. But power rankings this week, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it here. I want to do mine a little different this week, Amir. Usually we go from the bottom to the top. I want to go from top to bottom because I think it's relatively, obvious here at the top of the list. Kansas City at 1, they remain there. Do they look like the best team? No, they haven't looked like the best team, but they haven't lost since like week 13 of last year. Until they lose, they are going to stay at the number 1 spot, and they just got DeAndre Hopkins. So maybe the offense can get going a little bit more. Detroit at number 2, I think they're the best team in the league right now. But again, for all the reasons I just said, Kansas City remains at the top. Baltimore, they started off 0-2. Amir, now in this 5-game winning streak that they are currently on, they are on pace with the greatest show on turf in the LA Rams offense back in the day. They are a historical offense at the moment. They go at number 3. Houston loses a game, of course, to Green Bay. They drop a spot. Minnesota stays at 5 despite a loss to the Detroit Lions, who I already had as a top 2 team in the league. This next group of teams, we've seen some ups, we've seen some downs, but Buffalo at 6, Green Bay at 7, who I could definitely have a lot higher. I just don't want my Jordan Love fandom to get in the way. Atlanta at 8, Washington at 9. Of course, Jayden Daniels. This offense is special. Are they in the market for a Cooper Kupp? Are they in the market for another option out there? We'll have to wait and see. But as of right now, it doesn't look like they need it. And we're going to talk about Jayden Daniels a little bit later on. At number 10, who gets it? You can have Philadelphia here. You can have San Fran here. Some other teams, of course, have arguments around the league. But I'm going Pittsburgh. They're 5-2. They made a controversial change going from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson in his first game back off of an injury. What did he do? He catapulted this offense to new heights. This offense looked better than it has all season long, and that was why they brought Russell Wilson in to Pittsburgh. So he is everything that they paid for and waited for, and now it looks like they're more dangerous than ever. That is my top 10, Amir. Head into yours.
So at my 10th spot, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. And I really didn't want to put them at 10, but I mean, they're 5-2. This defense is the best in the league. We've seen them week in and week out, dominate teams and win games based off their defensive alone. And, me personally, I've been saying it, I'm more of a guy, a Russ guy than Justin Fields,
Yeah,
just because, you know, I really feel like, Russ can really open up the offense a lot more with his arm. Fields obviously brings in, a lot with his legs, but that arm talent alone, opens up that offense a lot more. And so after that 9th spot, I have Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a team that really has been up and down throughout this year. But these past 2 games, the offense seems like, it's starting to really get flowing. The defense is still a huge concern, but that offense looks a lot greater. And so at the 8th spot, I have Washington. It feels weird putting Washington at 8, but, this team, that offense is truly special. And so I think, throughout the season, even though um, Jayden Daniels is hurt, with the rib injury, I think ESPN came out and says like day to day or week to week or whatever. But I think as of now, they're still at my 8th spot. After that, I have Buffalo at 7. This Buffalo team, I love Josh Allen, but I'm still not buying it. This defense can be inconsistent, and I think adding Coop definitely helps it. Yes. But this team still is lacking so much talent. I think later on in the year, once playoffs hit, it's going to be really tough for them to really keep up with the teams that's really above them. And so after that, I have 6 at Houston, 5 at Green Bay. I didn't want to put Green Bay aside, but Jordan Love is playing on an MVP level, and it's going unnoticed. He's playing crazy. The offense is amazing. Defense, giving up a lot of big plays, but offensively, they look crazy. 4th spot, I have Baltimore. Minnesota, I have at 3. Minnesota lost to Detroit, so I don't want to bump them down 5 spots. They've still been dominant. They've still, smoked Green Bay. They smoked Houston. They smoked the Jets. So they have, a good track record up to this point. But we'll see, Thursday night. We will see because, hey, I'm not going to lie. It's a great game. And so Detroit at 2, KC at 1, and that's really it.
We'll talk about that game here in a moment because I have some stats that I want to bring to your attention, Mir. Maybe I could sway your opinion. But last week we killed it. 11-4 on both ends. Of course, we got there in different ways. Last week we had the most disagreed upon games, at least the amount, as far as any given week so far. Regardless, 11-4 for the both of us. On the year, I'm at 69%. Amir, 65, not too far behind. Only a 4-game difference, but 4% difference. Crazy how percentages work. But let's get into it here, Amir. I wanted to bring this to your attention because so far as of right now, for this week's slate of games, the only game we disagree on is the Thursday night game. Now, the Rams are getting Cooper Kupp back. Of course, in week 1, he was targeted 22 times, caught the ball 14 of those times, and he also got the ball twice on the ground, of course, in those patented Sean McVay jet sweeps. But the stats that I really wanted to bring up was the fact that Minnesota is 1-7 in their last 8 road Thursday night games. Now, on the flip side, Sean McVay, of course, in his tenure with the LA Rams, he is 4-1, of course, at home on Thursday night games. So, Amir, all the stats say the Rams should win this game, of course, with the addition of Cooper Kupp coming back. So, do you think Cooper Kupp is enough for the Rams to get over the top against a Brian Flores defense that has pretty much been lights out all season?
I would say, this Rams system and offense matches well against Minnesota. Minnesota's defense is more so the strength is up front. That secondary has struggled at times throughout this year. Green Bay almost rallied back against them last week. Jared Goff, diced them up, and so the Rams, with McVay, with that system, with that offense, I think Stafford's gonna be able to move the ball tonight. And so, sports bettors, if you're betting, really bet for passing props tonight.
Yes, Cooper
That's
Kupp.
going to be huge. But I would say, in my opinion, Minnesota still just has too much. And we saw week 1, once it was only Cooper Kupp, he had like 20 targets and his body broke down. But I think, this game, they're going to treat it, somewhat different. I don't think, he's going to get 15 to 20 targets. He might get around 10 to 12. And so this really a game where I think McVay's going to try to run the ball a lot more with Kyron Williams a lot more or get Tutu involved. And really, this is one of those games that's the trap, a complete trap game.
Yes.
But I'm still going Minnesota.
Yeah, that's why I think, again, it's not often a team like the Rams where we were high on coming into the season, of course, assuming full health. It's not often that they're going to be as big of underdogs as they are tonight in their home. So again, I'm definitely going to be leaning on that side, trying to get, of course, an underdog pick to start the week. Now, outside of that matchup, of course, we have Jordan Love going to Jacksonville to take down the Jags. Jags might have ETN back. They might not. Regardless, last week was their best showing as an offense, and they didn't have their star running back. So, again, maybe less is more sometimes. Now, the Arizona-Miami game. Arizona got a huge win. They're on a 2-game win streak, and Kyler Murray has been playing really good football despite his statistics being very subpar. But Miami, they get Tua Tagovailoa back. Amir, quick thoughts. How much does he open up this offense? And with Tua coming back, let's say he can stay healthy for the remainder of the year. Can this team make a playoff push with Tua back at the helm?
But so right now they're what, 1-5, 1-6 or whatever?
Yeah, 1-5 or 1-6. I think 1-5 because they had a bye week.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. Being in the division, I think later down the line, it's only a matter of time until Jets get going.
Yes.
Buffalo's great. And so I think right now playoff chances are probably cooked because, to be honest,
it's an uphill climb.
yeah. And so, with Tua out, they dropped some easy games that would have easily been wins. And so I think at this point, Tua's back. Just try to win out, try to make a push, obviously. But this definitely opens up the offense a lot more. And, the biggest weakness, I've seen from McDaniel, these past couple of games, which is rare, is the fact that, even though Huntley came in, they were still trying to, do all the motions and stuff like that, trying to go ahead and basically keep that same system that Tua was in. And honestly, it looked terrible. Yeah. But now Tua's back. Now, Tyree's healthy, Waddle's healthy. So this offense should look way better.
For the Jets, the Jets in New England game, Gerard Mayo had called his players soft after last week's game. They interviewed pretty much all the players on the roster. Some of them said, hey, I didn't really respect that because I'm still playing hard. And the other half said, well, it's supposed to motivate us. So divided locker room for a team that has lost, 6 straight games. Not a great sign if you're at home. The Jets, we think, can get their first win with Devontae Adams and company. Baltimore going to Cleveland. Cleveland sucks. Jameis is going to make this game interesting because he's going to throw 4 touchdowns. He might also throw 4 picks. But again, we're at home. That's the only chance that we have there. But Baltimore, too dominant at the moment. Philly Cincy might be game of the week, especially with how Cincy, I guess, with how these quarterbacks have been playing to start the year. Interesting game there. Indy going to Houston. We have Houston, of course, winning that one. Will Levis is back for Tennessee, but Detroit should handle business there. Amir, any thoughts about the remainder matchups here in the early slate?
Man, that Philly Cincinnati game is going to be a great game. That's a game that might get loose. It might be high scoring, but I would say both teams defensively have looked better these past couple of weeks. And honestly, that's really a game where sports bettors, once again, you can bet over on props for sure.
Yeah, I mean, how many talented receivers are there in this matchup?
A lot of firepower.
I mean, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. All right, now apparently this year we have to add Yoshivas. That's how you say his name there for the Bengals. He's been killing it this year. A lot of talented receiving options and just talented skill players in that one. Atlanta, the Chargers, Buffalo, Chicago, KC, and Denver are winning the games, of course, in our opinion, in the, I guess, late game window. To close out this week, we have Dallas going to San Francisco, getting demolished probably. Dallas always seems to get blown out there in San Fran. Now, Amir, who are you expecting to take a step up? Do you think Jauan Jennings can legitimately be a wide receiver 2 in this offense, or do you think they need to get kind of a wide receiver, like a 2A, 2B situation from Ricky Pearsall and Jauan Jennings going forward?
They might have to just, do like a 2A, 2B. And Jauan Jennings is great, but the biggest problem with this offense is the injuries. And, Ayuk is out.
Is.
Yeah, and, Ayuk is out. And, for a fact, Debo's going to have some games that, he's randomly out. He can't stay healthy. And especially once the playoffs come, you need more depth. And we honestly saw last week against KC where it's like Brock Purdy was throwing the Ronnie Bell. And so, turn the ball over in the red zone because he doesn't have guys to throw to. And so I think they either can try to pursue somebody, trade-wise, or just really try to just space the ball out, try to really focus on developing Pearsall. Right.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget, Pearsall, of course, had a big-time injury in the offseason. And, of course, he was also robbed, right, with the that incident. So give him some time. He's going to need a month or so to adjust to the NFL game, but I'm a Florida fan. He definitely has the tools to be a solid slot receiver for many, many years here in the NFL. Pittsburgh getting a win there against the Giants on Monday night. The last thing I'll say about the Niners, let's not forget, they also have McCaffrey coming back into the mix eventually. Also, I will say this, last thing, of course, last thing, Amir, despite the below 500 record, this year has made me more of a believer in Brock Purdy than last year or the year before because of how much he's doing everything he can to carry this team to, I guess, where they've been. If he hasn't been playing at the level that he's at right now, this team is probably 2-5, right? 1-6. But again, Brock Purdy, I think, is doing all he can, and he's making more of a believer out of me despite the lack of success than in years prior. The race for Travis. You could say race for Travis, race for Shador Sanders, whoever you want to put on this list. But as of right now, New England has the number 1 overall odds. The Browns at 2. Carolina jumps all the way up to 3 with their recent loss. Now, Bryce Young is going to be the quarterback this week. Something to look out for. Tennessee at 4. New Orleans jumps into the mix at 5. They just extended Alvin Kamara, who's been playing with a broken hand, Amir, the last month of the season. Any thoughts on these 5 teams? Okay, I mean,
not really. Yeah, I mean, I'm be honest. I mean, they all suck. The team that I'm surprised is on this list is the Saints based off the way they started the season off. And me and you both, I think preseason had the Saints winning like 4 games at max.
Yes.
But it's really crazy the fact that they honestly started off 2-0. The offense looked dominant, with Clint Kubiak calling plays. But when they had a stretch where they played, Atlanta, Philly, Kansas City, and then after that the team just started breaking down and they lost 5 straight, which is crazy.
Jay Kaner is the quarterback this week, so safe to say that they will be on this list yet again next week. The Week 7 Player of the Week, of course, the last thing we'll talk about from last week is the fact that we have to hand out this award. A guy that had 19 total touches for 190 yards. Quick math, 10 yards a touch. You give him the ball, he's moving the sticks. He had a rushing touchdown, of course, and it was a big-time revenge game. He was 12 yards away of course, from his career high as far as rushing yards on the ground. There was a viral clip that was going around. The offensive coordinator wanted him to get it. He wanted him to get his career high on the ground against his former team. But Saquon, of course, the class act that he is, preserving his body. He gets the Week 7 Player of the Week. Of course, big time game against his old team. Some other guys could have definitely made an argument. Lamar, 5 touchdowns on Monday night. I mean, Derrick Henry turned it on there late. A lot of guys that definitely could have had an argument for this award this week. But Amir, your thoughts on Saquon and his revenge game against the New York Giants?
Saquon played crazy, and you could just tell from that first snap he was trying to get revenge.
Yes.
And I'm gonna be honest. I mean, this Philly offense, like when they're on, man. And when Saquon's getting fed, this offense can't be stopped. But it's times where it's like Jalen Hurts turns the ball over. You know, it's times where they play against other juggernauts and they completely, just fall short. And so if they can really, piece this offense all to one, it's going to be scary with games like this.
They need to feed Saquon is what I'm getting at here. Now let's get into our midseason awards. These awards are already spoiled, so again, stick with us. We're going to explain every single one. A lot of different players around the league have an argument, so let us know yours here in the comments section. We will get back to you in the comments as quick as I possibly can. Now, my MVP so far, this was swayed because of his Monday night performance. Lamar Jackson, he's a 2-time MVP already. And it looks like, as of right now, Amir, if this offense continues to trend the way that they are, it looks like he's going to get his 3rd MVP. Lamar Jackson's been amazing. Minimal mistakes all year. Tons of touchdowns, tons of rushing yards, tons of, again, just explosiveness from Lamar this entire year. And really, after week 2, they flipped the switch, and they look like a legitimate Super Bowl contender at the moment. The real MVP, the guy that I wanted to give it to, was Jared Goff. Because of the way that he started the year, he has the highest completion percentage in NFL history throughout an 8-week stretch, or 7-week stretch, excuse me. So again, Jared Goff deserves his flowers, but I gave it to Lamar Jackson. Amir, you have another quarterback that you gave it to. Dive into that.
So I was trying to be a bit different than Lamar, just because Josh Allen. This roster honestly that doesn't have much, and I mean really, having Khalil Shakir is a lot different than having Derrick Henry in the backfield, with the even better offensive line. And so for me, Josh Allen has 12 interceptions, 12 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
Yes.
And man, like if you really look into the betting community before the year, everybody had him getting over 15 plus interceptions, with this limited roster. Me and you both had them missing the playoffs, but they're 5-2 right now. I want to say they're 3rd in the AFC as far as, rankings, or in the playoff picture as of today. And so he is basically carrying his team on his back, this limited roster. And I'm going to be honest, if Lamar does not utilize the team he has now, come playoff time, man, there is no more excuses for him. No more excuses.
Right, and they could also be in the market for another wide receiver. There was some breaking news here, and I know this is off topic, but Puka Nacua may return tonight for the Thursday night game. There was just a report, of course, from Bleacher Report. Of course, shout out to Bleacher Report, right? Believing in me. But there's optimism as of right now via NFL Network that he might return tonight for the game. Amir, if Puka suits up, does that change your mind? Tough one.
I'll think about that one.
Okay, we'll let you know in the comments, of course, like we always do, if we make any changes to our weekly predictions. The Offensive Player of the Year is a consensus between the both of us. It's King Henry. Again, this is a guy that you look at the volume that he's had dating back to his freshman year of high school. The volume that he has is unmatched, even compared to the running backs in the 80s, 90s. This is a guy that has an extreme amount of volume. And we know throughout NFL history, once running backs hit that 30-year-old mark, it seems that their career gets on a decline and pretty fast. Not Derrick Henry. This is a guy in the first 2 weeks of the season that John Harbaugh said, we don't really want to focus too much on the run. We want to preserve his body for years down the line, and especially the playoffs. But week 3, that all changed. Once they realized that this dude still has plenty in the tank, this offense has changed its trajectory, overnight, right? From week 3 on. They've won 5 straight games, and it's all on the back of Derrick Henry. So again, Offensive Player of the Year for me. Amir, your thoughts? This is a guy that has more games with 2+ touchdowns than no touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, this dude is on pace to score 23 TDs this year, which is insane. I mean, this guy has scored every single game this year so far. So he's playing crazy. He's playing lights out. And you got up a great point. I mean, this offense looks absolutely historic, and so I think for Derrick Henry, if he continues this pace, this might be one of the greatest non like quarterback seasons we've ever seen.
Absolutely. And again, I would have to shore up on this. Now, again, excuse me for not knowing, but I'm not sure if he won it with the Titans. I know he was really, really close to winning this award with the Titans a couple of times. I want to say he won it in 2019. Regardless, this would be either his first or his second OPOY. So, shout out to Derrick Henry. Defensive Player of the Year. Amir, I'm going to let you take it over here. You have Fred Warner. Why do you have Fred Warner on a below 500 team?
Fred Warner has been amazing this year, and guys that watch every Niners game, you can see his impact all across the field. This guy's getting punched out. I think he has like 5 forced fumbles this year. Getting the interceptions, flying downhill. Getting tackles and stuff like that. And at first, I was going to lead towards PS2, but PS2, sat a game, so I just had to put Fred Warner over him.
Yeah.
And I think that this year, for this award, it's somewhat similar to last year, for the quarterback award. I thought last year, no QBs really deserved it. I thought this year Hutch was on pace to earn that award, but he got hurt. So I think, now it's time for the NFL to really give credit to guys that's outside of edge rushers. I don't know when this trend started of edge rushers or D linemen to just be pretty much be leading the races for DPOY. But in my honest opinion, I think Fred Warner and PS2 are right there, and I'm leaning towards Fred Warner.
Absolutely. I mean, again, I no arguments from me. Now, I will say before the year, I came out and I said Hutchinson's going to win the award. He wasn't even top 10 at that point in time. As crazy as that sounds, according to Vegas, on DraftKings. So I made a bold prediction, and he looked like he was going to win the award. So if he didn't get hurt, Hutchinson would be the consensus, I would say, probably for the both of us. Now, again, that might be different for you. Regardless, the reason I have Patrick Surtain is simple. The last couple of years, we've been saying the last 2 to 3, at least for me, he's no doubt been the best corner in the league. And this is a guy that this year is on an MVP tour. This is a guy that held DK Metcalf to 28 yards. George Pickens, 16 yards total for an entire game. Mike Evans, 8 yards on 30 plays. Garrett Wilson, 20 yards. These are all pro level, talent level of wide receivers, and he's holding them to way below their averages and having pretty much a bad game. Now, to add on to the fact, I've seen some breakdowns of this Denver Broncos defense. Amir, they play like a Madden defense. Yeah. Now, of course, if you guys played Madden 20, Amir, you would run this 3-4 blitz where you would just pretty much send the entire front 7 and then just man up the rest of the people on the outside. That is pretty much what the Denver Broncos are doing. They're just manning up the outside guys with Riley Moss, of course, shout out to our white cornerbacks, and Patrick Surtain, and they're just locking them down, and they're just getting so much pressure where this defense is overperforming at this point in time. But Patrick Surtain, of course, the captain, he's the engine of this defense, so to speak. So that's why he gets that award from me. Offensive rookie, we both had Caleb Williams coming into the year. We said, if this dude could sneeze the wrong way, and he's still going to get this award. we said that this dude can miss a month of the season, Caleb Williams was still going to get the award. Amir, I mean, hey, I was more so of a Drake May believer than a Jayden Daniels believer. That has changed. Jayden Daniels is maybe a believer. And he has had one of the highest completion percentages in NFL history for a rookie, or for any quarterback for that matter, throughout the first 7 weeks of an NFL career. This is a guy that has, of course, a good offense around him. I wouldn't say it's an amazing offensive group as far as weapons. Brian Robinson, an older Austin Eckler, of course, an old Zach Ertz, but of course, a very good Terry McLaurin. But still, when you compare this offensive weapons compared to other elite offenses, it is subpar, right? It is not better than, let's say like the Philadelphia Eagles offense. This offense is a lot worse than as far as talent-wise compared to the Eagles group. But they're making it work, of course, with Cliff Kingsbury running the show. Jayden Daniels, Amir, number 1 in the NFC East. It looks like, of course, right now they have a chance to be a top 2 to 3 seed in the NFC, period, when playoffs come around. Your thoughts on Jayden Daniels?
Shout out Kingsbury. This guy is the same guy who could have helped Kyler, younger. And so I think right now watching this team lack in talent but still be so high powered is amazing. The defense is obviously concerning, but Jayden Daniels himself is playing great. Taking care of the football, which is huge. Every rookie has to take care of the football. And so I think for Jayden Daniels, I would say, Caleb is starting to slowly, inch his way up to making a case. But Jayden Daniels has been great from the beginning of the year all the way until now. It's
Yeah,
been amazing to see.
absolutely. He should get it, but with the way that Caleb's
He
looked the
should.
last couple of weeks, it's going to be a crazy race if he can continue playing like the way that he was. We can make this one quick because honestly, there's not really a front runner, and I don't really
Yeah.
think that there's a clear cut top 2 or 3. Defensive rookie, I gave it to Jared Verse. He's had, the most sacks out of any rookie so far, and he's been the reason why this Rams defensive front has been somewhat solid this year, despite losing Aaron Donald. Amir, you have Quinyon Mitchell, Toledo's own. Why do you have Quinyon Mitchell?
It's really crazy too because before the year, Jared Verse was my pick to win this
Yes.
award. And you honestly brought up a great point. I mean, this Rams team up front, this front seven has been bad some weeks, like terrible some weeks,
Right.
but some weeks they look somewhat solid because of Verse, a rookie. For me, I led towards, kind of leaning towards Mitchell because this Eagles secondary is somewhat holding on because of him as a rookie,
Yeah.
and they're both playing similar roles in different teams.
Yeah, I mean, he embraces the Philly attitude. He's the guy that has been
Yeah.
picking up the number 1 wide receivers on other teams. Not Darius Slay, it's been Quinyon Mitchell. So I completely understand why you have him there. Coach of the year is Kevin O'Connell for this reason. Amir, before the season, we both said, this is a team that could shock us. They could, be a solid 7 to 8 win football team. We didn't think they were making the playoffs. We didn't think that they were going to have a chance at this division. But here they are. Sam Darnold and company has made things shake. And of course, they're one of the better teams in the league. They've been a top 3 seed or a top 5 team in our power rankings the last couple of weeks, and they're still 5-1. The only team that they've lost to is a consensus, I guess, nationwide known fact that to a Super Bowl contending team in the Detroit Lions. So, I mean, if that's your only loss, right, as of this point in time, that's not a bad loss, especially in the fashion that they lost because they almost won the game. Of course, there in the fourth quarter. But Kevin O'Connell, great coach, of course, and he deservingly gets this award if they can continue playing at this pace. Amir, any thoughts on Kevin O'Connell?
Kevin O'Connell is a great coach and great play caller, and I was just with you on that one. We were kind of leaning towards eventually, around the midseason mark, JJ was going to take over for Donald, but Donald's been playing great, playing amazing. The defense has been the biggest shocker. Flores has that defense really anchored, and I think that's really branched off the fact that the whole entire team believes in Kevin O'Connell. They believe in that offense. They believe in his coaching style, the culture he provided with that team. And seeing last year, too, the way he made Josh Dobbs look great, I should have known he was going to make Sam Darnold look even greater. I mean, Sam Darnold spent the year in San Fran, learned behind, the greatest quarterback in Niners history, Brock Purdy. And so I think for Darnold, he goes to Minnesota in a similar offense, similar scheme. They get Aaron Jones, Addison is healthy, and it's only matters until they get Hawkinson back too. And so
Maybe
this offense is going to be
tonight.
This offense is going to be even crazier as the year goes on.
Yeah, I mean, again, power of a great coach here in the league. This is why I like these I guess I like this Shanahan style of coach where they just run the ball and their quarterback needs to do the bare minimum and they can look really, really good. We see the success with a guy like, of course, Jared Goff under Ben Johnson there in Detroit. Of course, we know the Niners offense is always good. The Rams offense is always good. The Browns offense post or pre Deshaun Watson was pretty good. And of course, we see that same thing happening here in Minnesota. This scheme is built to win, I guess, a lot of games, to win regular season games, to have don't put too much pressure on your quarterback, and of course, let your defense kind of take you over the top. That's what has made all those teams I listed very successful in the past. Now, Kevin O'Connell, again, coach of the year, no doubt about it. Comeback player of the year, Kirk Cousins. Man, Kirk Cousins, despite being 4-3, despite losing some games they shouldn't have lost, they are still on top of their division. And we both believe at this point in time, especially with the injuries to Tampa, that they're going to win this division and they're going to go to the playoffs with the easy schedule that they have remaining throughout the remainder of the season. Kind of said that regardless, they have a favorable path to the playoffs as of this point in time. And Kirk Cousins has been great coming off of that Achilles injury. Amir, your thoughts on Kirk Cousins winning the comeback player of the year.
Shout out Kirko Chains. I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
he's had some amazing performances. Some performances like last year that were a little iffy, but you know, I keep on saying it. I'm showing him some grace because he's coming off of a major injury, a catastrophic injury, and he's actually playing solid. You know, with limited weapons offensively, and you know, guys like Bijan and Pitts who haven't stepped up week to week, he's still somewhat making his offense look solid. And so, shout out to Kirk. Um, I, Me personally, another guy that's also in the conversation is Joe Burrow.
yeah,
Especially now that since he's somewhat flowing, I think if since he could somewhat make a playoff push, Burrow could honestly leap him. But you brought up a great point. This Falcons path is pretty favorable, and so I
yes.
think Kirk's going to lead us into the playoffs without a doubt.
That's it, Amir. I mean, we did this video last year, and of course, that was a lot of fun, and you guys enjoyed it. So we are gonna bring it back naturally. Now, next week we don't know exactly what it is. It could just be a regular schmegular weekly breakdown and predictions. We haven't done that in a while, so again, we might want to get back to that next week. But episode 220. Of course, if you enjoyed and you made it to this point, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell a friend to tell a friend. Of course, as we continue to grow, it is all thanks to you beautiful people listening to this point in the show. But Amir, any last thoughts before we get out of here, man? Thank you for, of course, joining the show. And I mean, what's going on with the football season, man? It seems like it's coming down to the end.
It's coming down to the end, man. Time is ticking. Right now we're trying to win conference out. So I'm locked in on that, focused on that right now.
Absolutely. Well, again, we'll see you guys next week. Go enjoy some football. And of course, if we make any changes, we'll let you know in the comments.